So we're going to talk about Hollywood unions, and man, this is just so weird to see as the Hollywood unions, the writers union and the actors union, the guilds get ready to talk to the studios about renegotiation. Everything is coming apart at the seams. It's wild.
I mean, but the WGA, I mean, especially because they're like, I don't know. There's two stories here. Like when I see what the WGA is offering and what their staff union wants, I'm kind of like, well, the WGA isn't being ridiculous here.
Right.
But they are being ridiculous in the fact they won't just get it settled.
Yeah, and they should have honestly had all of this settled before they went to talk to the studios.
Yeah, and now it looks bad.
It looks bad, and if I were the studios, I'd look at them and I'd be like, again, you can't even get your own house in order. What the hell are you doing here? You know, when you guys get your shit together, then you come back and talk to us, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about the WGA. We'll talk about SAG-AFTRA. They voluntarily recognized a union within their union.
Well, so did WGA originally.
Yeah, so it's like, man, this whole thing is just insane. I didn't even know there were unions inside of unions. But
well,
that's
it makes sense because you have like the clerks, the workers inside the union. It makes sense, but yeah. The plebs.
And then we'll talk about the actors union bargaining for a Tilly tax. Now, if you don't remember who Tilly was, I'm not surprised nobody remembers Tilly. The AI actress that they were having a shit fit about for literally 30 seconds, and then everybody forgot she existed.
Tilly Underwood,
or Tilly Norwood, yeah.
Well, Norwood, that's what it is. Some wood.
Tilly Wood. That is a porn star. That's an AI porn star. Tilly Wood, yeah. Or Philly Wood. Anyway, we're going to talk about this Hollywood shit show, and I'm going to be honest, I don't think the strikes are going to go the way they went last time. I definitely do not see us having a shutdown for months because they
Hollywood can't afford it.
Yep, they FA'd and they FO'd, and Hollywood never recovered from the last
Which we said was going to happen, and that's exactly what happened.
But what do we know? A lot, anyway,
apparently.
We're going to talk about it. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's that time again. Every 3 to 5 years, there are negotiations. And some people are thinking this might be one of the last rounds of union negotiations in Hollywood as the business changes and unions become less and less necessary.
I think it's going to depend on how much the unions push back. You know, and I think if they keep doing what they did last time, they're just going to be like, yeah, we're done with this.
So let's talk about the WGA first. We talked about that before, that they've got the union inside the union going on strike because they said they're not being treated fairly by the union that wants to, wheel and deal for
fairly
everybody.
by another group.
Right,
yes.
Right. Like I said, get your own house in order, right? LA Times, WGA staff union says they've been stripped of health care amid strike, which sucks. After 7 weeks on strike, 7 weeks on strike, members of the WGA staff union are losing their health care. The staff typically has access to the same plan offered to the Writers Guild members through Producer Writers Guild of America Health Plan. Employees represented by the staff union earn coverage on a month-to-month basis if they worked 31 hours per week the previous month. But since the group, which includes over 100 workers across legal, communications, and residuals departments, has been on strike, they are no longer eligible.
Because they didn't work like in the last couple months, so they just took their health insurance away.
Yeah. The staff union wrote on social media they learned about the coverage lost through an online portal just hours before this goes into effect. Well, I'm sure they were probably told before, like, hey, yeah, if the strike lasts more than a couple of weeks, you guys are going to lose your health
insurance.
Well, here's
the thing. If you know in your contract it's month to month, wouldn't the staff union have known that? Like the people that are bargaining, wouldn't they have known that was probably going to happen?
You would think. You would think they would. I'm sure they probably do. This is probably a bargaining tactic. Like, oh my God, guys, we lost all of our health coverage, but they probably knew it was going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if the people just going on strike in solidarity knew that was going to happen, but the people organizing the strike,
anybody who had the job, you would have been given a contract for your job. It would say month to month, you have to work 31 hours. You would know I have to work at least 31 hours a week to get insurance. Well, if I'm not working, where's the insurance go? That's just kind of common sense on that one. But yeah.
So this is a statement from the union within the union. This puts children, spouses, and their own employees into a further state of crisis. We're in week 7 of our strike. This is just the latest attempt by WGAW to bust our union and break our strike. Okay, so
they're asking for, but ironically, the WGA is asking AMP TIP for more money for their health care.
Exactly. None of it, make this make sense. The only thing that makes sense, and I know people are like, you're anti-union. I'm like, fine, fuck it. I'm anti-union. I'll tell you why. Because the people at the top of the union benefit the most from the union. You paying your dues.
It's like a pyramid scheme.
It's a pyramid scheme. You paying your dues, them getting a cut of every damn thing you do, and then them controlling the flow of spice. So if you want to work in Hollywood, you have to go through this union and give them a cut. That's not really fair. I don't think that's really fair, personally.
I mean, if you want to be part of the union.
If you want to be, yes. But being forced, and there are projects, a lot of projects, that if you're not part of that union, you will not be allowed to work on, which is why people go FICOR or whatever. But that's even got a stink about it.
You still have to pay.
You still have to pay something. Yeah, you have to pay something for the right to work on a union project. I have to wonder how many writers and maybe actors, artists are looking at this situation being like, damn, our own union fucked us over. Can we trust them?
Well, it's not just that. I mean, they're screwing over their union within the union.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't trust them. I'd be like, you don't treat your own people good. How do I know you're going to take care of my shit when I need you?
Well, last time they didn't take care of it. They drug it out for months, and then now there's like not as many jobs. We said people that that are going to have work will do better, but a lot of you aren't going to have work now, and that's exactly what happened. But yeah, when I looked at the thing what WGA was offering the union, and honestly, it wasn't that bad. Like, I never kept top of my head what it was, but like they have 10-day vacation days. They said they'd offer 13, and then they're like, well, no, we want 15. It's something like that. Some of the raises they want are very close, but they're a couple $1,000s less on the WGA side. And I think some of the asks on the union, the union within the union, the WGSU, are a little bit ridiculous. I do think WGA is also dragging it out and being dicks at the same time. Two things can be true at once.
What is weird about this, though, is that the WGA, if I remember correctly, they're pleading poverty. They're like, well, because of the decimated state of Hollywood, we can't really pay you guys anymore. And I'm like, this is the same excuse the studio is going to give you. You know that, right? Like, you're just passing the buck because the studio is going to bust out the tiny violin and give you a sob story about how things aren't that great. And don't ask for more money. And that's
right. You can't say anything because you just did the same thing.
You just did the same. So like I said, this undermines the entire Writers Guild bargaining position because you're telling these employees, your own employees, you're telling them the same thing the studios are going to tell you. And so if the studio's like, yeah, we're going to plead poverty. We're not giving you this or whatever. Be like, well, that's not fair. Look at how much value we bring. Your own employees are going to be tapping you on the shoulder and being like, yeah, bitch, look how much value we bring.
We're the ones that process all the shit.
And we process all the shit.
They said that they're asking for, the WGA is asking amp tip for membership healthcare plan increases, increase in streaming residuals, and expanded AI protections. But I'm like, but you want things that are going to cost more money too. And then your argument is, well, there's no money. Well, where do you think they're going to get the money from?
Yeah,
just like you said. So it's going to be, and you kind of set yourself up for it because they're going to look at everything you do to your union and be like, well, we're just going to do it right back to you.
Exactly.
Not saying they will, but they could.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, what was that one commercial with the drug use or whatever, where the kid's like doing drugs and dad's like, where did you learn? Where did you learn how to do this? I learned it from you. Okay, I learned it from you. So this is not going to go the way they think it's going to go, and these studio heads have to be laughing their asses off at this point.
I don't know. I just think that the whole thing's a mess. So you have WGSU striking against the WGA. You have WGA negotiations with amp tip to see if they're going to strike. And then they're basically calling anybody, the WGSU people are calling WGA people scabs because they're crossing the picket line to go in and negotiate themselves a deal.
Yeah, I mean, you can't make this up. I mean, this is like a fucking comedy. It's not funny for the people being affected, right? I want to be very clear about that, but this is like some like...
Sounds like something Hollywood would put out as a show or something.
It's like an episode of Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm or something. Like, oh, what Jerry, the union's on strike against itself.
Basically. Yeah, it's basically what it was like. So that's going on, and then there's other stuff going on top of it. So, now SAG-AFTRA has a staff union. And they recognized it, but that doesn't mean anything because the WGA voluntarily recognized their union too. And it's all fine and good until you go to get your first contract because this is WGSU's very first contract. They recognize them right away. It doesn't mean they're going to work with them later.
Well, I mean, look at what happened in the video game industry. That which was it? Tencent. It was Ubisoft. Yeah, Ubisoft. They recognized their union. They're like, hey, cool, we're going to recognize your union. Then the very next day they fired them all because they knew they were going to cost more. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, things are not, the economy is not great right now. Hollywood is not in a great place right now. And people point to record streaming revenue. Okay. Record streaming revenue is not necessarily profit. Record box office is not necessarily profit. And you look at the box office, and not that I'm trying to make excuses for these greedy ass studios, but I'm also like, their point of view is going to be like, okay, we did really good on this one, like Disney. We did really good on Lilo and Stitch, but how many other box office flops do we have? And how many other parts of the company do we have to bankroll with that money?
That's just, like say a studio made, $10 billion in a year at the movies, which is, Disney's the closest and they still didn't hit that high. And there's no studio close to that, but I'm just using it as a round number. You made 10 billion, but what you don't see is, everything cost like 8 billion.
Yes.
So, they might only actually have made like 2 by the time, which still is a lot of money, but that money has to go back into doing all these other films, and they're overpaying for shows. They're overpaying for films. The budgets are ridiculous on this stuff. It's not earning back. And streaming shows, I'm not sure how they break those down probably by the number of people who watched it by their subscriptions. The reason they're putting ads in now is going to have to offset because they're losing money on streaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. And it's, and some of it's by design. Sometimes I think they design it to lose money so they don't have to pay taxes on it. But this is funny because this is the SAG-AFTRA Communications and Marketing Department, basically, is who unionized.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll have to see how that goes. It doesn't mean jack because, WGA recognized theirs immediately, too.
Yeah, and then what'll happen is it'll be like, oh, wow, due to the studios not giving us what we wanted, we're going to have to outsource all of our marketing and communications to India with AI. Oh, no. Oh, no, guys. But, I mean, look, here's my thing about unions or whatever. If you can get that money, what we are trying to tell people is that I think unions fuck individuals over. For the greater good of the union. I think they will fuck you over if given the opportunity. And, just realize that you're going to be kind of held back by that. And I don't think it's fair that you have to do what this group says when they're also screwing you over. Because if people were left to their own devices with their own agencies or whatever, and they did not need to have the union involved in contract negotiations, I think Hollywood would be a lot more efficient. I think people would actually get better deals. The problem is the underperformers wouldn't get opportunities because just Darwinism would do its thing and they would be kind of weeded out of the process, right?
Well, hardly any of them even earn enough to get health insurance and stuff like that. Anyway, so let's just real quick talk about the other thing because this is getting along. Yeah. So, the Tilly tax. So
the
now,
Tilly tax.
So now,
the Tilly tax.
So WGA is negotiating with AMP-TIP right now,
right?
And so is SAG-AFTRA. Okay, so no one's on strike yet. It's all negotiations to get what they want. So they're all afraid at SAG-AFTRA about AI replacements. So their idea is basically we're going to tax you for using an AI actor to make it effectively more expensive, so it's going to behoove you to use a real person as opposed to AI is what they're trying to do.
Yeah, that's not going to work. I'm sorry.
I mean, this is something like that's going to be that has to be like a law. But then the way California and them are worried they're going to lose acting gigs, they might go along with it.
I mean, I think we're gonna find out that in a lot of cases, especially with video, that actually the AI actor thing is probably a little further away than people think. I mean, you look at, they shut down Sora, and the reason they shut Sora down was it was losing $1 million a day to generate video, and it's like low quality shit. So if you're doing like high quality stuff, it's going to cost a lot more, and it might actually be cheaper.
High quality places are getting sued by Disney and the studios anyway because they were using their stuff.
Yeah,
they're okay with using it themselves, but they're not okay if you use their stuff, for other people.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, I could totally see this flying in California, but I can't see this flying anywhere else. Be like, oh, we're going to, kind of reminds me of the tariffs, right? We're going to make it so damn expensive to import stuff from
that's basically
other
what they're
countries.
Trying to do, but it's okay when they do it.
Yeah, it's okay when they do it because it's like the same mindset. We're going to make it, you're not doing what I want, so we're going to make it so damn expensive that we're eventually going to bring the manufacturing back to the U.S., which sounds good on paper until you fuck over a bunch of business owners, right? But yeah, this is coming from, what is this, Fortune. They said AI usage is a key issue in SAG-AFTRA's ongoing negotiations of a new contract. And of course, we have Crabtree Ireland's back at it again, Duncan Crabtree Ireland, which sounds like a restaurant, an Irish pub to me. But he said the union is focused on limiting the use of AI performers, including digital replicas of human actors and synthetic characters that do not correspond to real people. A so-called Tilly tax, named for controversial AI actress Tilly Norwood, would levy a fee on synthetic performers to make using them cost as much as using real actors. I was just thinking, man, so many jokes. You could have an AI porn actress called Titty Norwood. You get
Well, usually when you want an actress, that you prefer it to not have wood, but
think about it. Anyway, but we've got to make sure the economic incentives drive work for humans, which I agree. But it's like, the studios they're not gonna go for that, because they're gonna be like, then next thing you know, they're gonna be like, so what if we use de-aging stuff? You're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna charge you a tax on that because you could have hired a younger actor to play this character. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they get it here too. They're trying to force Congress to pass a bipartisan No Fakes Act, which honestly, I agree with this. People have ownership of their own voice and likeness, so they can't be turned into AI generated deep fakes, because they're using like underage kids even, for porn and stuff like that with these deep fakes, and it's not okay. It causes real damage, and that should be passed no matter what. Yeah.
So here's where it's all this stuff is going to dovetail. I'm telling you, because the only way that you can actually have complete ownership over your likeness and your voice and stuff is to have some sort of digital ID and possibly blockchain technology to lock the license for yourself down, and then that will be like government issued. That like, oh, you want to use Harrison Ford? Well, you got to pay him, and he's got to put in just like a social security number. He's got to unlock his likeness key, or his estate has to do that, and then you can use it, because that's the only way you can keep track of it all.
Yeah, but no one wants that either. So
no. So I'm like, boy, we really are in a pickle, aren't we? Like with all this stuff, all the stuff you hate is actually the stuff that would keep you safe, but also it's a slippery slope.
Yes.
So I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.